Well, good afternoon. It's Wednesday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 3rd of May. And I am near the end of finishing up my work on your submissions. And we are nearing the end of class, but not, I emphasize and hope, to the end of your continuing an intentional journey of spiritual formation. I hope and pray that what has begun here as foundation for you, or what is underscored in terms of your ongoing journey during these 15 weeks, that this will form the basis for that continued journey with Jesus, toward Jesus, and ultimately the goal of Christ-likeness. I want to say a few words to you all about your life rules. Perhaps they don't need to be said, but I want to say them anyway. And you'll note that I haven't written specific responses to each of your submissions, because what I found in those submissions is some themes that I really want to address that really apply to everybody. First, a rule of life is not static, certainly not intended to create a spirit of or an opportunity for judgment. It's not meant to be a cause that leads any of us to a sense of failure. For example, I set this goal for my life and it has not happened. Therefore, I'm a failure, or I'm not being a good follower of Jesus. As we all know, life happens. And then, if we are paying attention to ourselves and to God at work in our lives, we regroup, we reset, we reevaluate, we edit, we assess, maybe we throw it away and start all over again. Set a new direction for our lives, our work, our ministry, our relationships. A rule should never be developed as a set and concrete plan, nor without a considerable amount of prayer. A rule of life is meant to be life-giving and provide a way to move forward in the face of what all of you have often described as lives of chaos and challenge. In other words, a rule is a form of prayer, especially if we listen carefully to God in its preparation and in its evaluation. It is a way forward. Second, I want to especially call your attention to the title of the second page of the Rule of Life format, the one that is titled A Plan for Resistance and Formation. I think this is one of the reasons why I chose this particular format. Resistance to what? We might well ask. Well, to that life as chaos, to life as victim, to life as fear, to life as go with the flow, to life as my daughter often says to me, well, Dad, it is what it is. I don't know why that statement bothers me so much, but I think it is somehow a denial of God at work in the world. It is what it is may be a statement about appearances, but it is not a statement of faith in the ongoing work of God in the world. So a rule is the opposite of all of that. It is a way of partnering with God to bring about God's rule on earth. It is finally a statement of resistance. Jesus' whole life life was a life of resistance. Resistance to the corruption of the faith. Resistance to the rule of empire. Especially resistance to the degradation of human beings in the name of God. We are invited, called, empowered into that same life of resistance. It's countercultural life that we are called to. And the journey we are on is the journey of intentional formation, ever asking, how then shall we live in light of God's call on my life and the realities in which I am called to live and make a difference. Third, don't forget this, of rule. Don't let it end up as just another completed assignment. It's about life change. And I encourage you to set a time on your calendar, the one in your pocket, on your wrist, or if you're into retro, the one hanging on your wall. Set a date, a time, and a place. Open up the rule you developed. Read it, reflect on it, and do whatever it is you need to do with it. Start again. Confess your lack of attention. Confess your lack of intention. Confess your lack of imagination. And pray that the Holy Spirit will hold you accountable in the future and bring it to mind. You might invite someone else to walk with you in an accountability partnership. Someone who can ask you, how's it going with your life rule? Celebrate that God is at work in your life, or even conclude that this is not the tool for you. But don't give it up. Find a way to live a life of resistance to the oppression of the world. I believe with all my heart that as followers of Jesus, that we will that living as followers of Jesus will require that we resist the powers and principalities. In fact, I really believe that the only choice in that regard that any of us has is to resist or to surrender. Fourth, I would remind all of us that God does not call us to excellence. Now, that's a strange thing, I know, coming from a college professor. It's also strange, I think, because it's a very human desire to excel at what we do. But there's a dark side to that desire for excellence. It may be a desire, express itself in a desire to be better than others at whatever. It may be a desire to win, to get promoted, a larger church, bigger salary, I don't know, and is tied into this trap of what we call the Protestant work ethic that focuses more on us as human doings than as human beings. I did a Google search through the NRSV for the word excellence. I found it referenced once. Even then, it is something that we find and contemplate, but not something we pursue. Instead, the call of God on our lives is to faithfulness and integrity. Living our lives in deep relationship with God through Jesus Christ to the power of the Holy Spirit. This is not an excuse for laziness or sloppiness, but to a transformational connection to the Creator of the universe who desires to be with us above all else. There's a great quotation from Henry Nouwen, who was one of the authors we read in the undergraduate component of this class. I think this statement underscores it, what I'm trying to say. He wrote, "In a strange way, the spiritual life isn't useful or successful, but it is meant to be fruitful, and fruitfulness comes out of brokenness." Finally, allow me to conclude this farewell with a statement of gratitude and appreciation for your presence in this class, for your thoughtful work, for the transparency and vulnerability of your responses. You have challenged me by your work, your ideas, your engagement. You have helped me along my own journey of spiritual formation. I am so grateful for you and for that, and certainly pray that God will continue to bless you as you continue your journey at Anderson University, and even more, your continuing pursuit of your adventure with God. Oh, and before I forget, please go to Canvas before you're done and fill out the course evaluation that you'll find there. It is important to me and to the university and to what this class may become in the future. It is important on so many levels. And finally, I'll be hanging around in the neighborhood, in and out this summer, and you have access to my phone number if you're ever where we might meet, and you want to, of course. I know that I would love to check in with you and see how life is going. So blessings on your journey, and God's real traveling mercies as you continue this pilgrimage.